I hope all of you there is having a good time and nothing to worry about when we are talking of engineering graduates. It's basically cut across all the segments of graduation today. And with the philosophy which is working today is that along with your formal education, you need to look at how do you qualify yourself as a skilled person in the entire academic world. Now, what I see in this market today, and this is the basis of the philosophy that our organization, which is NACAD, which is a part of NCETU, which is nothing but enterprise bridging. Though bridging may be a very aggressive word when we talk about academic scenario, but at the end of the day, the fact of the matter is the academic qualification that a person acquires through the degree is not up to date with the technology requirements of the industry. And today, if you look at technology, has gone far, far beyond of what the thought process is. You talk about what happens in cloud, what happens in scenarios in the enterprises, what is the skilling that is required. When we talk about technologies like ChatGPT, what is happening there? But at the same time, people has to remember that technology is not the ultimate. So people who actually runs this technology is very, very critical in this. And what NCAD is building on is to deliver knowledge in the form of technology and making the people aware of what needs to be taught, what needs to be done, and what needs to really make themselves a qualified specialist in the market. So NCAD does not look at, getting into making skilled people or skilled laborers. That means we don't want to deliver education and thereby give a certification by ourselves, enabling the students to get qualified in the industry. What we are looking at, the technology giants, so-called what we talk about OEMs, the people who manufacture the technology, the education which they want to impart, and the reason why they want to get into academic area is to generate more manpower, because that's what is going to be required when we look at the next few years, where huge transformation. So there are big giants in the world like SAP, AWS, which is Amazon Web Services. They are transforming the entire technology world, which we talk about, from one part to the other. So, for example, if you talk about cloud technology, there are all enterprises which is working on live servers. They have their installation there. They use live servers. They have big machines. They have fat clients. Generation has come where people moves into thin client. So all the things which will be need privacy and secrecy and security has to be put into a server which is on the cloud. And that is where Amazon Web Services works on, Microsoft is working on, Google is working on. They have their cloud technology, which is hired by the enterprise to save their resources. One is that, but cloud, when we talk about, it's a technology where people need to know. If you don't have the knowledge of how to handle cloud, then the entire gamut of paradigm shift goes to a toss. So if you look at the entire industry scenario today, 10% of the total enterprise solution has moved to cloud. That means there is 90% still left. Now, where are the professionals to reach that gap? Here, we are enablers to the so-called software giants or the OEMs who will actually, where we actually go and teach the technology, make the students aware, create the professionals in them, and then get assessed by the people who manufacture these software. So when we talk about cloud, now there are different levels of certification, there are different levels of professionals which get built. It starts from practitioner, that means you are aware of cloud technology. It gets into architect, so how do you design your space in cloud? Or getting into developer, so people has to program things, they need to know knowledge, how do they encrypt materials in cloud? Now this all are levels of certification, and this is where the job is. So what we'll do is we'll train the students inside the institution at a very nominal price with the structured delivery program which is designed by the software giants or the OEMs, and then map them so that they qualify in the certification or the assessment that gets driven by the software giants, and get them qualified, get them acquire the batch which is visible to the entire enterprise solution and get absorbed in the industry. That's the objective and that's the philosophy which NICAPS wants to drive. See, there are a lot of people who delivers technology, but do you think? And there are a lot of autonomous universities or institutions which delivers technology. They have good faculty, but do they get an exposure of handling solutions through cloud? Do they get an exposure to sit and do live projects which will help them to gain experience? Do they get an exposure to get into an incubation research hub where they are exposed to live projects handling in their final semesters maybe? Do they get a scope of getting interviewed and shortlisted by enterprise and then skilled and then get into the industry? Now all this is referred to education of today. Today, if you look at what is happening in the education space, let me tell you. See, whether you look at accreditation bodies that universities have, whether you talk about AICTE, UGC, and with the higher education, the transformation that is happening in new education policy, ultimately that gets refined and put into a same basket where not only knowledge but working skills becomes very important. So it's not only the degree, but how much have you got yourself certified in the technology so that you're productive from day one is what becomes very important for you. Hence, NACAD is working in that space where you get that development scope of yourself, get yourself a batch of a professional which can be on or from any of the OEMs or the software giants that we are talking about. So talk about you want to become a cloud computing architect. So maybe a batch from Azure or Microsoft or GCP or AWS, and AWS being the market leader, obviously, that's the way the entire enterprise is moving towards the cloud. At the same time, if you look at organization, the software giants, they also are moving from a standstill server space or getting into cloud implementation. So, for example, if I look at SAP, there's a big transformation today happening. And when I talk about SAP, it is the enterprise resource planning objective that we are talking of. You look at today the entire organization or the Fortune 500 companies or more than that, the big organization, they run on a system which is controlled by LMS or CRM or this kind of thing, HRMS. Now this is under the same umbrella which is of the ERP, and it's been taken care by companies like SAP, Oracle. The benefit that we have, we are partners to them. And we actually train people how to get themselves transformed. The beauty of it is, since they are also in a transition mode where they will require technology knowledge, that is the vacuum that is going to get created when it comes to skilled manpower. We are not driving technology for today, but we are driving technology which is going to come in the next 2 years, or maybe is going to stay for over a decade. So, before even thinking about it, one thing is very clear, and which the new education policy is insisting, that skill education is going to be the essence of success for tomorrow.